have the okra for me. Ah, yes, angel, the best okra you ever see. Spanish onion, later cocoa, all spice and thyme, all free for the love. Callaloo, callaloo, calalaloo. Callaloo, callaloo, calalaloo.
It's summertime here in New England, and we're going to do a lovely rendition of an American classic. We're going to do Succotash and marinated pork, which could be grilled, sautéed, oven roasted, well, however you like it. But let's get started. We're going to start off with some pork tenderloin. Pork tenderloin is probably one of the best cuts of the best cut of the pork if you're looking for a lean piece of meat and something that cooks rather quickly. So what I'm going to do with this pork loin, which you can get pretty much anywhere, we're going to take it and we're going to put it on a cutting board and we're going to clean it up. We're going to remove the silver from the pork loin. So what I'm going to do is just simply take my paring knife, or if you have a boner or any other knife of that sort, you can do you can do this technique. And what you want to do is just lift a little bit of the silver, and you just want to just kind of clean it up a little bit. And we're going to get all that fat and all that silver off because it gets chewy. So we just simply place your knife under the silver and remove it by scaling it off or filleting it off. Very simple process. Very easy meat to work with. And definitely, if you want to, this is a fantastic dish that could also be done with pork chops or chicken, whatever you like. But today we're doing pork. So we just simply took off all that silver off the first loin. And when you buy the pork tenderloin, they usually come two in the pack. So what we're going to just do is simply, which is enough to feed 4 people, easy. So we're just going to simply remove the silver from the next tenderloin and clean it up very nicely. Fantastic. Very simple, very easy. All right. In the meanwhile, we're going to take a bowl and we're going to add a couple ingredients to just quickly marinate this pork tenderloin. We're going to start off with a little salt and a little pepper. And I'm going to be sautéing this, so I'm not going to get too crazy with putting too many ingredients in there because it's not going to be over an open fire. It's going to be in a sauté pan, so things won't burn on top of this. I want to get a nice little crust and a nice little simple marinade going here. So I'm just adding a little salt and a little pepper. I'm going to add a little touch of olive oil, just a little touch. And I'm going to add a little bit of rosemary to this pork tenderloin. And what I'm going to do is just simply do a little chiffonade on this rosemary and get it well coated with this rosemary. This should be growing in your yard right now or your garden. I'm just going to simply give it a nice little mincing right here, and I'm just going to simply add that to the pork. And I'm going to also add just a little touch of mustard, whole grain, just a little touch. And I'm going to also add a bit of lemon zest and lemon juice. Get those summer flavors really, predominant. So what I'm going to do is simply take my, I'm going to simply take my microplaner and I'm going to microplane the skin off of the lemon. And then I'm going to add the skin that's been microplaned and zest to my pork loin. And then I'm just going to simply cut it in half and add half of a lemon worth of juice to this simple marinade. And you could just even cut up the lemon thinly, just throw it right in there. And then I'm just going to smash a couple cloves of garlic. And I'm going to also add that to the marinade. And then we're just going to simply combine all those flavors and all those seasonings and spices together with the lemon and the garlic. And just get it nicely coated. And then we're going to let that sit for about 20 to 30 minutes. You can even let this sit overnight. And you could, especially if you put it on the grill, you will get those really great flavors, penetrating through the meat. So we're going to let this sit for about 20 minutes. So let's pretend it's 20 minutes.
Can you look at Jeremy's camera?
Yes.
Because I'm kind of more on close-ups. I'm on YouTube.
Okay.
Jeremy's always on.
Okay. Excellent.
Otherwise,
that's good to know. Okay, so it's been about 20 minutes since the pork has marinated. So what I'm going to do is simply heat my pan. So, like I said earlier, if it was going on the grill, I would probably put a little more ingredients on top of this pork, just because the open flames on a grill, it does a lot better than if it was being sauteed in a saute pan. Because what we're going to do is get a nice crust. We're going to try to get a really great crust and get it to about medium, not medium well, but a little over mid-rare to medium to medium. Okay, so what we're going to do is simply heat our pan, and I'm going to add some oil. I'm going to get that really, really hot. It's the secret of getting good crust on anything, is getting your pan extremely, extremely hot. So my pan is smoking hot right now, so this is a good indication that the pan's ready for my pork. So what I'm going to simply do is lay my pork right into the saute pan, like so. I'm going to get a really nice crust on that. You hear that sizzle? That means it's going to get a really nice crust on it. And again, if you have a grill pan in your house, or one of those grills on your stove, it's perfect for this dish. And it's so easy. So we're going to let that get a nice sear, and we're going to cook that to about mid-rare to medium. So it's been about 8 minutes, 4 minutes on each side of this pork. So I'm going to turn up the heat, and I'm going to let it rest for about 10 minutes. So I'm going to accompany this pork tenderloin with a Succotash, an American classic. And what I'm going to do to start this dish off is I'm going to clean some local corn. You got to eat corn in the summer. It's summer. So what I'm going to do is simply shuck a couple ears of corn. So this dish would be 2 pork tenderloins would normally feed about 4 people. So I'll do about three heads of corn. And succotash happens to be one of my favorite accompaniments to pork in the summer. We have amazing corn here in the valley, or in Shelburne Falls, or wherever in this area. I pick up corn 5 minutes away from the restaurant, and it's always delicious and very, very sweet. So what I'm going to simply do to clean this corn is first I shucked it, and what I'm going to do is hold this little knob here, and I'm going to just simply shave it right into this bowl. By running my knife down the ears of the corn. This is a good idea also if you make making a chowder or a soup made with corn, is to keep these and use them in your stock because it gives it a lot of flavor. So I'm just going to simply, again, run my knife down and take the kernels off the cob. If you have a flat Pyrex, that would work even better than a bowl. Okay, so what I'm going to simply do now is break down this lovely pepper, because it's pepper season also here in the valley. So what I'm going to do is simply fillet this pepper by taking the top, the bottom off, and taking out the ribs of the pepper. I'm going to add a little of my own elements to this particular dish, and I'm going to just throw a little couple left hooks at it. So what I'm simply going to do is use pretty much half of that pepper, and I'm going to julienne it like so, about 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to cut at another 1/4 of an inch. A nice little dice on these peppers. And I'm going to also do that to the top and the bottom. Nothing goes better with corn than peppers, honestly. It's like a match made in heaven. It's almost like tomatoes and basil. Okay, so again, I'm just cutting them into 1/4 cubes, like so. And fantastic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this off by adding a bit of oil, and I'm going to also add some local bacon, well, from New Hampshire, North Country. I'm going to add a little bacon to our little saute pan here. And I'm going to also, traditionally this dish is made with lima beans, but today I'm using edamame beans and putting a little Asian twist on this recipe. So I'm just going to simply saute this bacon in just a splash of oil. And this, this could be served family style, or it could be composed. This is a fantastic dish. It's super easy, and you will impress anyone who comes over. You'll impress all your company. All right. So what I'm going to do again is smash another clove or two of garlic. Add to my succotash. I'm going to add this into the bacon. That bacon smells wonderful. So I'm going to just add a little garlic to my bacon. And bacon's good all year round. It's good in the summer. It's good in the winter. It's good in the fall. It's good in the spring. That smells fantastic. So what I'm going to do now is just simply add the red pepper. Give that a couple good stirs. We don't want to overcook this. I want it to still have life and be fresh and delicious. So I'm just going to simply add the corn. Give that a couple mixes there. And I'm going to add about a cup of organic edamame beans to replace the lima beans. But if you have lima beans, I know most people in the valley don't grow lima beans, so they're available frozen or dried. If you want to spend the day cooking lima beans, that's quite all right. And this looks gorgeous. The color is screaming summer here. So I'm just gonna simply, again, salt, pepper. And I'm gonna add a couple little elements that I like to add to my succotash. I'm gonna simply add some freshly picked thyme sprigs that I'm just gonna run the little leaves right into that pan. Just break them up, you know, a little rustica style. Fantastic. This is fantastic. Looks great. All right, so I'm gonna say that took about 4 to 5 minutes to cook, and it's completely done. And in the meanwhile, I'm gonna make a vinaigrette to go along to accompany this pork dish. But now I'm gonna also, we need some sort of potato or something to make this a real meal. So what we're gonna do is pan roast in my cast iron pan here a couple new potatoes. You can do them whole, you can do them halves. I'm just gonna do them whole in the pan, like so. Just a little oil, a little salt, a little pepper. And we're just gonna let that go for a couple minutes. These potatoes have already been pre-cooked. I boiled them for, I don't know, 7 to 8 minutes, maybe 10. You just stick your knife and once it pierces, they're done. So what I'm gonna do now is just simply make a vinaigrette to go along with this, to go along with my pork dish. So what I'm gonna first do is, the vinaigrette that I'm making is gonna be a whole grain, local maple syrup vinaigrette. Very simple, very delicious, and it goes very, very well with the succotash. In Canada, they actually eat succotash with some sort of maple syrup, some sort of sweet. So what we're gonna do is simply add a little bit of whole grain mustard. We're gonna add some local maple syrup. I'm just gonna give this a couple more turns, get these nice and crispy. And these, again, these could also go on the grill. You could get a piece of foil, put these on. You could get them in between the grates and get a nice, good crust on those skins. And I'm just gonna add, you can add different kinds of vinegar. I prefer to use Spanish vinegar for this particular vinaigrette because it has a really interesting flavor that goes really, really well with maple syrup, and the amber color of it is just really makes it really, really beautiful. So what I'm going to do is simply add a bit of sherry vinegar, that's from Spain, and some olive oil. And I do about a 1-to-3 ratio with the oil and the vinegar. And then I'm just going to simply whisk it and add a little salt and pepper. And the mustard, when added to the oil and whisk, it gets very viscous. So it becomes more like a sauce. Okay, so lovely. So we got our potatoes done, so now all we got to do is plate, cut into the pork, and serve. Oh, look at those potatoes. Those are gorgeous. I have one other element to this dish before I plate this. So I'm going to put a little Asian flavor. I'm just going to add a splash of sesame oil. Give it a real umami with the anami beans. All right, so I'm just going to give that a simple little mix. And again, like I said, this could feed up to four, or you can even do this as an appetizer. So what I'm going to do is simply place some of this lovely succotash in the center of the plate, like so. And we're going to cut the pork. I can smell that sesame oil. It smells fantastic. Take some of these potatoes. And we'll take a little bit of this vinaigrette. And just simply add it to the pork and around the rim. And you could garnish it with a little bit of fresh thyme. And voila. So with this lovely pork summer dish, I will be pairing this with a rosé from Bordeaux, which is predominantly a very interesting grape called Negrette. It was a very small percentage of this grape was used in the actual production of Bordeaux many years ago, and it's kind of the lost grape of Bordeaux. And I have this lovely rosé here with this, which is about 60% Negrette, and we're going to be pairing it with this lovely, lovely pork dish. All right. All right. Wonderful nose. Hints of peaches, mandarin orange. Fantastic, fantastic. It's going to go really, really well with this pork dish. Delicious. All right. Let's see what we have here. Take a little potato, a little succotash, a bit of the pork. Fantastic. Until next time, we'll be seeing you at Cooking at the Gypsy. Bon appetit.